Apollo Podcast Network.
3, 2, 1.
Hey y'all, thanks for checking out the Mission Debrief podcast. I'm your host, Dex Hinton. I'm a contributor here at Apollo Media and a diehard Houston sports fan, born and raised right here in H-Town. You can follow me on Twitter at Dex Ain't Dead. You can follow the show at Debrief Pod, and you can follow the whole crew at Apollo HOU. Mission Debrief is going to be my podcast where each week I just sit down and talk with people who work in and around Houston sports, trying to get to know a little different side of the game, trying to see, what it's like working in the broadcast or what it's like covering the team or, the arena experience, different things like that. This is not going to be a podcast where we sit and break down the X's and O's or, give minute by minute updates of, injuries or trades or free agency or things like that. I just want to get to know the people who work in and around the game, bringing us the content that we love and doing all the things that we might not think about when it comes to making a professional sports product even better. So that's what we did for our first episode. I got a great guest to kick us off. Her name is Deniz Aksoy. She works for the S-Sport channel in Turkey. Rockets fans will recognize her as the beautiful woman who translated for Rockets rookie Alperen Sengun on draft night and at the introductory press conference. But she is so much more than that. She is basically Turkish Stephen A. She's got 6 different NBA and Euorleague shows that she runs over in Turkey every single week. She is just on top of every single thing basketball related, and she really knows her stuff. She grew up in the game. We talked about that, kind of where her love for the game comes from. We talked about being underestimated as a woman in professional sports. We talked about what the NBA is like in Turkey, how popular Alperen Sengun is over there. And she also covers Formula One and things like that. So we talked about the Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen controversy that's still going on. It was just a great interview, and I appreciate you checking it out. Without further ado, let's get into it. This is the first episode of the Mission Debrief podcast with Deniz Aksoy. Hit the music.
Sort of in a paraphrase of a...
To debrief is to gather useful information after an event that might have gone unreported during the event itself.
All right, welcome to the Mission Debrief podcast. This is going to be our first episode. It's going to be my podcast. I'm Dex Hinton, and I'll be interviewing some people who work in and around Houston sports, trying to get to know their stories, where they came from, what it's like behind the scenes day to day, and kind of where they're going. And we got our first guest. So excited that she agreed to do this. We've got Deniz Aksoy in the house. A lot of you Houston sports fans will know her as the translator for Alperen Sengun from draft night and from the introductory press conference. So really excited that she came on to be our first guest. She works in Turkey. She's a reporter for it's S-Sport TV, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she is one of the hosts of a NBA show over there called 3 saniye, which means 3 seconds. And so I'm just really excited to talk to her about obviously about draft night and Alperen Sengun, but also about what it's like working in Turkey and doing reporting on the NBA from over there. And it's going to be a really fun podcast. So Deniz, say what's up to the people.
Hello, guys. I am so happy to virtually here with Dex and being the first guest for his podcast. And I just miss Houston so much. I talk to Alperen like nearly every 3 days in a week. And so I'm just like, I really want to come there. I'm coming there actually, but in 4 months, 3 months, something like that.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, but I just miss Houston and fans and, everything. And even the club, the team. So yeah, I'm so glad that I'm your first guest.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. So I think the big question that we're going to get to is just kind of what it was like being with Alperen for draft night, obviously, because, we're not really used to kind of hearing from the translators when it comes to, what the draft is like. But before we get to all that, I want to talk to you about just kind of what your day-to-day is like in Turkey right now. Obviously, you work on TV a lot. You're doing a lot of different sports. You do the NBA, you do Formula One, you do a bunch of other stuff. So kind of how did you get started working in sports?
So my father used to be the doctor of this, biggest club, one of the biggest club in Europe, which is called Anadolu Efes. They're playing in Euorleague, and maybe, I mean, some of you guys maybe hear from the former NBA players who are playing. For example, this year Shane Larkin is playing for that club, and he used to be the doctor of that club for like more than 10 years. So I grew up in that club. I grew up with basketball. I played basketball, and I studied media in university in Milan, in Italy. And I started to think, what shall I do? Like, I love being journalist. I love journalism, media, TV, radio, all of those stuff. But I also love basketball. So what I should do is mix them together. So that's how I got into this business. I started to work in Italy, in Milan, for the press companies, and then after I started to work for Esports. I've done a bunch of stuff. I've done Euroleague media, assistant, and I've done so many other stuff like FIBA World Cup and all of that. And then I found myself in Turkey. I got back 2 years ago, back to Turkey again from Italy, because I lived there for 10 years. And then I'm here right now. I have 4 different shows, actually 5 right now.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and I've done Formula One when there was a race here in Turkey for 2 times, Turkish Grand Prix. So I've interviewed all of those guys like Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Alonso, Daniel Ricciardo, like all those guys. And I love my job so much. And I've been to NBA finals this year in Milwaukee, in Phoenix. I've been traveling, a lot of between those cities. And then after, I found myself in NBA draft. And then afterwards, I found myself in Houston Rockets. So yeah, that was a great journey. I mean, this summer was crazy, but it was lovely, to experience.
That is so cool. So you gave us a lot there, and I want to talk about kind of all of it a little bit separately. We're gonna try to break it up a little bit. So were you born in Turkey and then you moved to Milan for university, or?
Yeah, I was born in Istanbul, here in Turkey, and then I studied in Italian high school in Istanbul, and then afterwards I got a scholarship from Milan, from a Catholic university, and I went there. I studied. It was beautiful, studying in Italy, having PJ Tucker. I interviewed PJ Tucker actually, and then I was asking about his Europe journey, and he was saying, man, I love Italy because Italy has the best food. So I agree with you. Like, I had the best meals in my life in Italy. Turkish cuisine is good as well, but Italians, like, they know how to cook. Pasta, pizza, wine, grappa, like desserts, tiramisu, like everything is amazing out there. And people are lovely. I enjoyed studying there in Milan. And then that was how I went to Italy, and then I got back. Like I'm here recently, 2 years that I've been here in Turkey. So I don't know a lot about Turkey because I was away for a long time. For example, when my friends are calling me, they're like, Deniz, there's this restaurant, and I'm like, is it new? And they're like, no, it's been there for 7 years. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. So yeah, I'm new to Turkey back again, but Turkey is amazing. You should come, Dex. When IP is going to be here for summer, if I cannot be able to make you guys meet, whenever you'll be here, I mean, if you come here and Alperen is here, I'll introduce you guys. I
will definitely come to Turkey to meet Alperen Sengun in his home country and get to hang out with him.
Here is beautiful.
What's it like I assume like with Turkey, all the Turkish NBA players are like mega stars over there, right? Like, is it kind of like that already for Alpi or no?
Yeah. He's a big time, he's a big time NBA star right now. Furkan Korkmaz, Cedi Osman, and even former NBA players like Mehmet Okur, Hidayet Türkoğlu, İbrahim Kutlay. Like these guys, they're big names for our basketball culture and for the sports lover. Because in Turkey, our main sport is football, which is soccer.
Right.
But basketball comes on the second, plan. And if they, for example, now whoever hears Alperen Sengun, they know that he's a basketball star who plays for Houston Rockets in NBA.
That's awesome. And so you lived in Italy for a long time. So I'm assuming you are pretty fluent in Italian. Obviously, you speak English and Turkish. Do you speak any other languages too?
Spanish.
Wow. Here I am with my little boring old English only.
No, come on.
Yeah, I know a little bit of Spanish. Just living in Houston, you pick up a little bit of it, but not a whole lot. So
Houston, yeah, there are so many foreign people. It's just like a mix, like there are so many Latinas and other there. I've seen people from Italy a lot, English people, British people. Like it's just that there are a lot of mixed cultures in Houston.
yeah, for sure. Houston is it's one of the most diverse cities in America. We've got people from everywhere. So you hear a bunch of different languages, you see a bunch of different cultures here, and it's really awesome. But I can only speak English, unfortunately.
It's okay. Maybe with Alpi, you all can learn Turkish.
We're all gonna learn a little bit of Turkish. I picked up Sanya. I can say seconds now, so that's good. Yeah.
Exactly.
Speaking of, so you said you do 5 shows now. One of them is Uch Sanye. What are the other 4 that you work on?
So Utsani is my baby. I always say that because when I came here 2 years ago, I said when I, did my deal with a TV company, I said, and TV company which I work for, Esport, is one and only broadcaster and the right holder of NBA. So whoever wants to watch NBA in Turkey, they always, tune in our channel. So I'm like, I have to do something which is different than other people in Europe. So I need my own TV show, basketball talk show. And they're like, can you do that? Like, can you find every single week different, guests for your show? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. No problem. And for 2 years, Dex, every single time in 1 week, I have different guests. Like I find different names, like from Greece to, I don't know, Lithuania, from United States to Italy. Like I have, this is my show is one and only basketball talk show in Europe, and Utsani is just my favorite one.
That's awesome.
And the other show is the NBA show, NBA Game Time and NBA Showtime. We have 2 different names, and I am in the studio with the Turkish basketball commentator legend Murat Muratanoğlu. I do with him about NBA. I mean, weekly, updates about Alperen, about Ömer Yurtseven, about Cedi, all these names. And the other one is about Euorleague. I have former NBA player, former Euorleague player with me who I talk about, Euorleague and Euro basketball leagues. And the other one is the one. If I translate it, it's like 101 with Deniz Aksoy. It's like a quiz game show with basketball players. Every single week I have, different basketball players who I do quiz, and it's just so much fun. I laugh a lot when I do that. And I had Bobby Brown as my guest on that show.
Oh man, Rockets legend Bobby Brown.
Yeah, and I'm like, Bobby, because it's just like quiz. It's a fun entertainment show. I'm like, well, I asked him, who's your most flirty friend that you have as a teammate? And guess the answer, Dex.
James Harden.
Exactly. And I was like, oh, okay. He's like, he didn't even think. He's like, James Harden. I'm like, okay. And so yeah, that's 4. And I have other show, which is also NBA show for the TV company. Oh, and I have 6 shows.
Wow.
And one is Serie A for the Italian football league. I have like commentator guests, and I teach them Italian like words in front of camera, in front of the other people, and it's just fun, but it takes only 3 minutes, and I teach them, and that's all.
That's awesome.
The 6th one is not my show, but it has my name. And that one is 3 minutes with Deniz Aksoy. So it's always minutes or seconds with me.
Yeah, you don't get any hours or days, just minutes or seconds.
No. Thankfully, I don't get hours. No. I mean, if I get that, I cannot have 5 shows.
That's awesome. So you're basically like the Turkish Stephen A. Smith. They just got you everywhere, just on every single show, doing everything.
Wow, it's a compliment if I don't have him. But yeah. I mean, in basketball, yeah, I'm quite, I'm quite a good name, I can say. I cannot compliment myself, so I just,
You can be a little bragging on here. You don't have to be humble for us in America. We're Houston, Texas, we're all about bragging and hyping yourself up. So feel free.
I know, and I love it. I love seeing it, and that's why Houston fans and people in Houston, they love Alperen, because he's just so confident. He's like, you know what? I'm so happy.
Yeah, I love him so much. He just does some of the craziest stuff on the basketball court that I've ever seen. Just like behind the back passes, just no look passes, and all kinds of crazy stuff. I just love him so much. So how much did you know Alperen before kind of the draft process, and how did you end up being the translator?
Well, we've known each other throughout his agent, and we became friends before meanwhile he was playing for Beşiktaş, for Turkish club, and after then, who was that? Mike Schmidt. Mike Schmidt, right? Do I pronounce his name?
Sure. Yeah.
The draft guy, the draft scout. He came to interview him for ESPN, and I was there with them. I did the translator, and then afterwards, when I was in the NBA finals, agents and all of those the people who work for the organization, they contacted me and they're like, Deniz, can you do that? And I'm like, volunteer, like I'm in,
Okay.
I'm in. For other names, I don't know, but for I. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So have you done that before, like for any of the Turkish players or any Italian players? Or
no. That was my first time experience as a translator, because I'm not a translator, but but if it comes to that point, I can be the translator. So
yeah, that's really cool. So there's this great like video that you posted, like all these NBA rookies like getting off the bus, and then like there's these really tall NBA players and like these really nice suits and stuff, and then there's you and there's Alperen Sengun who's like 6'10" walking out behind you. So
and that went viral in Turkey as well, and I'm like, at first I didn't even know that they were filming us, because I was stressed. We were all stressed. There was Jalen Green. I don't know who else was there. All the draft guys, they were walking in front of me, and Alperen was behind as a gentleman, and I'm like, I was really, really not nervous, but excited, and I didn't even see the camera. I'm like, okay, Deniz, you got this. You're gonna be in the green room. I don't know what's waiting for you, but just walk. And that video went viral, and I'm so I'm glad. And it's just like, when you work hard in your field, and I'm not American, I'm not living in US. I've never experienced anything like that before, the NBA finals, actually, not the draft, in USA. So it's just, for me, it was an amazing experience.
Yeah, that's so cool. And so kind of what was it like that weekend before the draft, because obviously you're hanging out with a bunch of just American like teenagers basically, and then it's you and Alperen Sengun from Turkey, and you're trying to translate for him. I'm sure other guys are trying to meet him and get to know him and stuff on the bus, and you're kind of having to translate and stuff like that. What was that process kind of like?
It was cool. It was just so super chilled. We were just, everyone is like, you and me, we're talking right now, or before the interview, before we press the button of the record, we were just talking. It was the same thing. It was just like, normal. We were talking, and Alperen doesn't need me sometimes, because he understands and he can say if he wants to say. So he's just, for me, I always tell him he's a genius. Like he's super talented, and he can learn English like that super quick. So that was easy for me, and that was super regular, chilled. We were talking. It was a regular bus ride, and it was a regular weekend. Trust me, it was nothing special about nothing extraordinary.
Okay, cool. Because just seeing that video of all these like huge like NBA rookies coming out, and then it's just little tiny you, and then,
exactly, and then Alperen again, like these guys, and it's just me, and some people are like, wow, it's good. It's a good thing to see from outside as a fan or as like an audience, that there's a lady, like there's a female in that bus and coming out with a confidence. And I'm like, yeah, if I was a stranger, if I was watching myself, Deniz, that girl walking outside of the bus, I would be like, wow, that's pretty cool. And that was exactly how it was, nothing more or nothing less.
Yeah. So speaking of, being a lady and, seeing, women in sports. There's another great video that you posted kind of yourself, kind of talking about how you got to where you are because of your brain and because you have the knowledge of sports and all that stuff. So kind of what has it been like, being a woman, doing all these NBA shows in Turkey and, trying to maybe not prove yourself, but really just showing people that you have the knowledge to be where you are.
Honestly, Dex, because I come from, I'm coming from a journalist point of view, I had to learn the game. I had to learn the rules. I had to know the name of the players. I'm not coming from, other TV show to the basketball show, and not from, I know the cameras, I know the game. I have obviously the knowledge, and I'm out there, for the first time when I talk about sport. And I thought, because I was reading some first, like with the first show, with the first episodes, I was reading the comments. I'm like, people were writing, oh, there's a girl, oh, she obviously doesn't know this game, or she obviously, the guest is hitting on her, so probably they're, da da da da. And there were so many, because for people who see a female out there with you've seen the video, as I was saying, with the knowledge, with the brain, with the confidence, they start to think from a negative point of view, because for them it's weird. The word weird is super, like it fits perfectly, because it's weird for them to see a female who can probably, presented herself in a beautiful way, good ways, as I don't want to brag again, but
no, please do, just brag.
Good ways, like people are like, oh, something is wrong with this, because she doesn't look like super tall, so she's not a former basketball player, or she's not this and she's not that. So how this girl knows about this sport, that well? And that where all the other, like Greek journalists, Italians, they start to do interview with me, because they're like, oh, you have the, one and only basketball TV talk show in Europe, and so we have to get to know you. And that's where I first said that I grew up with basketball, and people were relaxed a bit, because before that there were so many conspiracy, like there were theories about me not getting into that business. So it's just hard to deal with that, but at the same time, I really don't care. Like, I really don't care. Like, really,
that's awesome.
Because when I was at the draft, people were, Turkish people especially, they were, oh my God, what is she doing? Oh, how she knows Alperen? Oh, they're posing together. Oh, they're this together. That. And I'm like, nothing is true. So we're obviously friends. Like, he's, young, many years younger than me. And you can say whatever you want. It's a free country. It's a free world. So you type whatever you want. I really don't care.
That is so dope to hear. I love that, because when people first the Houston Rockets first drafted Sengun and they saw you, they were like,
tell me about that. I don't know. Yeah, tell me. I don't know.
Yeah, it was just really crazy. Just people just typing all kinds of crazy shit. So just to hear you, be like, yeah, I don't give a fuck, I don't care, it doesn't matter. Yeah. That's awesome. I love hearing.
I really don't. And I love receiving those messages from Houston fans, and they're like, Deniz, come back. And Deniz, come back. Even if Alperen wants to learn English, we don't care. We want to learn Turkish. It's just so beautiful to hear and, read those kind of messages at the same time. But I obviously care about positive stuff, about some, criticism. I love criticism and I love all those stuff. But when it comes to that point that people want to get you down and bring you down with their negative energy, with, some BS that doesn't make no sense, like nonsense stuff. For me, that doesn't matter. But for the other stuff, I just love, reading and seeing them.
Yeah, that's super great. You're awesome. I love hearing all of this right now. So you talked about kind of growing up with basketball. I've been really curious, what's it like with the NBA in Turkey? Like, do they have like favorite teams, or is it like everyone loves LeBron, or everyone loves the Warriors, or anything like that? Or
yeah, so in Turkey, we are divided. I mean, basketball fans are divided into LeBron lovers and MJ lovers.
Okay.
It's just like, it's the same in the States as well.
For sure.
And now there's Steph Curry, you know, with the new record. And now people are doing the comparison between Curry and LeBron. So they're like, you know, every time there's a you know, race going on. But our favorite team is obviously Cleveland, Houston Rockets, Miami Heat, and 76ers.
Yeah, because of the
why?
Turkish
Because
players.
exactly. So, but Turkish people, we always say Lakers, you know, Los Angeles Lakers is the number one, even before LeBron, because there was Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, and all those, you know, legends. And maybe Lakers is the Turkish people's favorite team.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Lakers are definitely the favorite team in America for sure. You knew that already. Like, everyone loves the Lakers except people who just hate the Lakers and hate LeBron. But yeah,
but
so that's really cool.
This year, like I was expecting more, you know, from Lakers, and this season is just
not looking good. Yeah,
they're not looking good. I mean, especially with Westbrook. I mean, there is something, you know.
Something a little off. Yeah, Westbrook, he was with the Rockets a couple years ago, obviously. So, you know, Rockets fans, we all have our opinions about Russell Westbrook. Yeah. So growing up, who was your favorite team and your favorite player?
Probably Bulls, Chicago Bulls, and MJ, obviously. I mean, who was yours?
I was born in '95, right after the Rockets won the championship. I'm from Houston, so you know, obviously, I've always loved the Houston Rockets. You know, I grew up with it. I got on the "I Love You Houston" shirt right now.
That's so nice. Oh, I need that jersey.
Yeah,
you know, Bobby Brown has his own like t-shirt line. And I'm like, when I first came to New York before the NBA finals, I'm like, Bobby, I need your t-shirt. You know, I need all of your stuff. And I was wearing it with Alperen, and Houston Rockets fans were like mentioning me and Bobby. It's like, how did she find the Bobby Brown's t-shirt?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I need that one too. If I come there around like March and February, I need that from you.
Okay, yeah, or we can ship you one to Turkey if you want that too. Yeah, we'll get you one. Apollo Media, you know, check us out. We'll get you hooked up with all the great Houston merch. This is what we do. So
You're amazing.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. But so with the NBA in Turkey, obviously y'all are 9 hours ahead of like Houston and stuff like that. So are people waking up like super early or staying up super late at night to watch the games live, or are they watching them like on a delay? Or
some people they really don't sleep, you know, they don't sleep at all. They watch, for example, first Denver Lakers, I don't know, second Bulls and New York Knicks, I don't know, like they just, you know, divide their schedule to watch the NBA games. And especially with Alperen, with, you know, Ömer Faruk Yurtseven, for example, for Miami Heat games, they don't sleep. For Houston Rockets games, they don't sleep. Cavaliers games, they don't sleep, because, you know, we have people on those teams, so we just need to watch.
So one of the like many controversies going on with the Houston Rockets right now is people think that Sengun should get more minutes. He should be one of the starters. How do you feel about that right now?
I agree. I agree. No, but I met with Coach. He's a lovely person. He's amazing. I don't want to say anything about that, but I think personally he has to start 5 and he has to play more, because he's killing it.
He's killing it. Yeah, he's been.
And he said in one of his interviews, he said, if Coach gives me more minutes, that's more confidence from Alperen Sengun, you know, like he has to play to show those no-look pass or dunks or whatever he does on the court, you know, he has to play more.
Yeah, he's been way better than I thought he would be already. I didn't know much about him
that's just the beginning.
Before the draft.
That's just the beginning. I mean, he's gonna be, you know, top.
I'm so excited. Is there anybody else in Turkey right now that we should watch out for coming to the NBA? Or
there are few. There is this young kid who is called Demir Doğan, but he's 15 years old. He's super talented right now, and I'll give you the names. I'll do my scouting reports,
okay,
you know, and I'll give you the names. I cannot say it out loud here, so they will interview, you know, they will get to know. I mean, in private, I'll text you the names.
Okay, yeah, I gotta look super smart, when the NBA draft comes back around, I can be like, look at all these Turkish players y'all haven't heard about. Uh, so one thing I do really want to talk to you about, because like you mentioned earlier, you did a couple of Formula One races in Turkey, and you got to interview a bunch of those guys. Did you follow the rest of the Formula One season this year?
I've done, I followed. I mean, especially the last race, which
That's what I wanted to talk to you about, because that was insane. What did you think about that?
Oh my God! If I say this out loud, I think I'm not gonna interview anymore the F1 if you really need my natural organic opinion. It's just it was not fair.
Yeah.
It was really not fair. Really not fair.
The
I felt so sorry for Lewis. And I was like, because he was about to win the world title, championship and all of that. But this is a new world, it's not a new world. Actually, the world has been like this for a long time, but some stuff that you cannot change. It's one of the example of those stuff.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I was shocked.
Yeah, we the guys at Apollo Media, a lot of us got into Formula One this year for the first time, and we were, watching the races every week, and we did like this whole live stream party for the last race because we were so excited. And then most of us were rooting for Lewis Hamilton because we just like Lewis Hamilton.
Of course. I mean, who does not like Lewis Hamilton? And I interviewed those guys. I interviewed all of them for 6-7 times, 2 years in a row. And I've done, more than 10 interviews with each of them. Lewis is such a humble guy. I mainly do interviews with basketball players, but those Formula One racers, there's something else. They are more humble than basketball players. I can say this. They have another kind of a vision that, they see other stuff. They're more careful with, equality, with world, with nature, with the diseases, with all of that. It's just Formula One racers are, they're a brand, each name, Lewis Hamilton is a brand. He's the world, celebrity, world star. It's like a gold type of a brand.
Right.
But the way that him being humble, I was shocked. For more than 10 times, each interview, I was shocked,
Yeah. If I were that good at anything as Lewis Hamilton is at racing, I would never be humble. I would be bragging all the time about everything.
Maybe he just, for 2-3 years, he was not humble, and he said, oh, this doesn't make no sense. I need to be humble back again. So that's maybe how he chose to stay humble.
What was it like going to, actually going to the Grand Prix and, getting to see the race up close? I've never been to one in person, so I don't really, I've only seen it on TV. But
when you hear that sound, that, it's just something else. It's not like a game of basketball, volleyball, I don't know, NFL. It's just not something like that. It's different. It's so different. Have you ever been to the Texas race, the Austin race?
No, I haven't. I'm trying to go next year.
You should. It's just, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's so, you'll have a goosebumps, it's just beautiful.
That's awesome. So you mentioned, interviewing about a lot of NBA players. Obviously, you've interviewed all the Formula One guys. Is there anybody you've interviewed that you've just been like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm talking to this person? Like, wow, this is like a huge moment for me. James Harden.
James Harden. I said that, and then after I was like, oh, okay, I just interviewed James Harden. It's just, probably James Harden and Magic Johnson.
Magic Johnson. I've always wanted to meet Magic Johnson. He seems like he's so nice.
He's smart. He's just he's so smart, and that's why he's still a brand and a name of Magic Johnson, and he's amazing. Honestly, no. Only maybe James Harden and Magic Johnson. But for example, with PJ, I was like, okay, I have an interview at 5 with PJ, so I gotta go, kind of, And,
yeah.
But that was nice, yeah.
James Harden and Magic Johnson, those are two people I would love to meet. Obviously, I'm kind of freaking out getting to interview you right now because you're just so cool. But
no, No, come on. It was not. No, you're
I'm
not.
interviewing Turkish Stephen A. Smith. You know, this is a big moment for me.
Oh,
But see, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but you know, obviously you gotten to come to America a few different times and see a few different American sports. I did see that you went to your first ever baseball game. What did you think about watching baseball?
okay. Honestly, Dex, I walked in, I was with Serbian journalists and, like with the NBA stuff, NBA Latin America people and NBA people. And, I was walking and I was like, okay, let me grab a beer because I obviously don't know this game and I don't want to look weird, watching I should be calm. I sat down and people were trying to explain me for, I think, hour and a half, the game. I was like, at the end, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. But I didn't understand a thing. I don't know. If you ask me anything about baseball right now, yeah, I watched the whole game for 4 hours, but I don't know. And it was Cincinnati Reds against the Brewers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you
But
like it at least?
I like it. I mean, I like it. It was cool, but I don't get it. NFL and baseball, those two I need to learn. And when I come there, I mean, in 3 months, I'm for sure going to Houston. There will be a game of baseball, right, in Houston?
There should be. There's an MLB lockout right now, so they might not be playing. We don't know yet, but yeah, we'll see.
Okay. I need to go to Houston's baseball game. I need to go to NFL game, but I don't know if I'm really into football. I mean, American football or not. But
yeah, it's a little weird if you've never seen it before. Obviously, in Houston and Texas in general, we all love football, and the Astros are really good right now, so everybody loves the Astros here. But
yeah. I think I went to game. I saw the pictures.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm so jealous that you're, attending those things. And he's like, that was a really good game. That was really good. I'm like, did you understand? And he's like, yeah, kind of. And I'm like, my cat is still coming to bother me, but it's okay. He needs an attention.
What's your cat's name?
You're gonna laugh. He was little like this, and I named him Tiger.
That's cute.
And he's fluffy, he's a bit chubby, but he's still my tiger.
That's awesome. So is there anything else that you want to just tell Houston fans about you or about what you're doing or what you might be doing next?
I'm coming out there soon. Please watch and listen to this podcast of Dex. He's amazing. And it's going to be even better because I'm the first guest. So, first show, first episodes, it's okay. And by the way, you look so professional. It felt like I'm the, I don't know, 40th guest of your show. Like you're so
Thank
professional.
you.
I'm serious.
I appreciate
it doesn't
that.
sound and it doesn't feel like it's a brand new show. But I love Houston fans. I really do. They're amazing. Like they still message me on social media, and it's just they're amazing. They love basketball. They have a passion for sports, and they're nice people. And I'm just sending my love and kisses to the fans and to Houston, to you as well.
Thank you so much for coming on. You can tell people, just about your social media handles, where they can find what you're doing, what you're working on. Just go ahead and plug yourself.
No, it's okay. I mean, I'm Deniz Aksoy, and you'll find me from Dex, and I work for sports. I do a bunch of stuff, and whenever you come to Turkey, let me know, DM me or tweet me, whatever, and just lovely to talk to you, Dex, and lovely to say everything about Houston to the fans, and hope they like it.
Thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate you being our first guest. This has been the Mission Debrief podcast. We're going to be putting out new episodes every single week with more great interviews, hopefully as great as Deniz, but it's going to be hard to top. This is a great first guest, and I'm really glad that you did this. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
That's it. We're out of here, guys.